Hey, what's up, everybody? Every January 1st, I sit down and I go through our budget for the year and look at what we actually spent during the year. And then I compare it to the prior year just to see if I can learn anything, to see if anything jumps out at me. And then I post it in a blog post and a video with a couple of tips to go along with it to help you out as you're doing this too or thinking about starting a budget. So I'm going to run through a couple of things that jumped out for 2020 for us, and then a couple of tips to go along with each of those things as well. First of all, 2020 was a pretty unique year for us. Well, actually, 2019 was as well. But what happened in 2020 was we sold a duplex rental property that we had in North Carolina. And so our income looked a little higher because of that anomaly. And then we gave a little extra to charity from those proceeds, as well as paid a little bit of extra principal on our home mortgage. And so what I do with things like that is I pull out those anomalies in order to make the years more comparable for our normal day-to-day spending. So that's what I've done here is I pulled those things out. So the first thing that jumped out to me was our housing. Our housing costs went up by about 6%. Now, a couple of things that drove that were our HOA fees, which just continue to go up every single year. I'm not sure what's going on there, but they just keep increasing those on us pretty significantly from year to year. The second thing is all three of our major categories here, our insurance, our electricity, and our water bill, all increased pretty significantly from 2019 to 2020, driving up our housing costs. Not a lot we can do about that. We could shop the insurance around. We could watch our electric use somehow, cut the AC back a little bit in the summer. We don't really have to deal with heat in the winter, so that's already helping us out there. And in the water use, we could just pay attention to how long the showers were taken and things like that, I guess. The next category that really jumped out to me was our groceries. Groceries skyrocketed by about 13%, which seems like a lot to me year over year. Now, we do have three boys. They're 10, 8, and 6, and so they continue to eat more and more and still be hungry. And so that is a big factor of what's driving up those grocery costs. I also think that actually grocery costs across the board went up a little bit, just in terms of what groceries cost there. The next category that's within that is our eating out budget. Now, surprisingly, our eating out budget was within 83 cents from 2019 to 2020. We did not increase how much we ate out, how much we spent on eating out. And to be within $1, it's pretty crazy that it was almost the exact same amount spent from year to year. What went into that? Well, our kids are eating more when we go out as well. They're all getting their own plates now, no more sharing for them. But we didn't eat out for a long time because of the pandemic. And so because of that, our cost per eating out probably went up, but the total went down because we didn't eat out a whole lot during the early months of the pandemic. And so that helped balance that out. Overall, I think we do pretty good with our eating out and our grocery budget, so not too much there, just to keep an eye on those rising costs in groceries. The next one is transportation costs. So this is our vehicle expense, our insurance, tolls here in Florida, and our gas. Vehicle expenses actually dropped significantly. Gas was down 40%, and so were tolls. Now, the biggest factor in that is the kids weren't in school, so we weren't driving back and forth to school during the early part of the year when the pandemic hit and everything shut down. We also weren't leaving the state and visiting family as frequently. And so our driving was down a lot. So the transportation costs were down. Also, insurance went down by about 9%. A lot of auto insurance companies were giving people a break. And I think we have Geico. I think they did that too. They cut our insurance a little bit during the pandemic. So that drove those costs down. Our personal care, cleaning, and toiletries also jumped out. It was down about 15%. I think a little bit of that was we buy our groceries and our toiletries at the same time a lot at Walmart. And so it could have been a little bit of laziness of not splitting that out. So a little bit of our increase in groceries that I mentioned earlier could be some toiletries lumped in there because we didn't do a good job splitting that out. But also we started doing the subscribe and save through Amazon. I think we're saving a little bit there too. So that's our personal care and toiletries account. So looking at our total expenses for 2020, they are down overall, and that makes sense because as we went through the individual items such as transportation, we saw that that was down significantly. And then the fact that I launched Wooten CPA, my business, this year, For 2020, it was my first year in business, and so I'm building that up, and my income was a little lower in my first year of business than it was at my previous job. And so as our income was lower, our expenses for 2020 were lower as well, which is a good thing. We managed to keep our expenses in check and to match that up with our income, as opposed to continuing to spend the same amount and going into debt or using up a bunch of savings. So that's good. So that's pretty much our 2020 personal budget year in review. A couple of quick, just general budgeting tips here. I really want to encourage you to use some sort of software to track your historical spending, but more specifically and more importantly, to track what you want to spend on your budget side. So for me, budgeting is not supposed to be this limiting thing that you're doing, but it's supposed to be freeing, and it's supposed to be your priorities that you set in the budget, and then it's supposed to help you stick to those priorities. So that's what budgeting should be, and it's not just this thing that's made to say, well, you can't spend that. And so again, I use YNAB, YNAB.com, that's You Need a Budget, and we use that for our personal budget. I think that it's excellent for helping us track the budget in the moment, in real time. Now, what we just did here was we looked back historically at what we spent, and you can gain some insight from that. But the more critical thing here is to see what you've budgeted in the moment, what's left in a category, and then to make your decisions in real time based on the information. And that's how you're going to stick to your priorities, your goals, and reach those much quicker. My name is Brad. I'm with Wooten CPA. My goal is to bring peace to your tax and finance responsibilities. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button on this video if you would, please. And then if you want to get notified of new videos as they come out, hit the bell as well. Thanks for watching, and Happy New Year.